very good morning and a very happy Sunday to all my lovely viewers. My name is Paulimi Singh and we have an amazing guest with us today. He started his career back in 1996 from Hindustan Petroleum, from where he became the MD of Accenture. So he will share the life hindrances, his story, his childhood memories, everything with us. Please welcome our very amazing guest, Mr. Sourav Niyogi. Welcome to our show, sir. Please talk about yourself. Please tell us something about yourself.
Thank you, Paulami. A very good morning to you and everybody who is listening in or watching us at this point of time. It's an absolute pleasure to be talking to all of you today. I'm looking forward to talk about my experiences and share some of them. At the moment, I'm in Calcutta. I live in London. And it's always a pleasure to be in Calcutta, especially around this time of the year. Though I must say it's a lot warmer than what it normally used to be when I was younger and I was in Calcutta. But I'm absolutely loving it at this point of time.
Thank you, sir. Sir, today we are going to talk about in a very Bollywood style, and we'll talk about your life, your experiences, your friendship and everything. So now that we all know that we are a little inclined towards Bollywood, so we will take this all over in a Bollywood style, okay? I hope you like Bollywood, sir.
I love Bollywood. It's always a pleasure to watch Bollywood movies, especially, when you miss India. That's one of the things that connect you back to India in London.
Then I'm sure you're going to love this, sir. So today we'll start from one by one. So first thing first, I will start with choti choti baaton se hai yadein bani. So from this means we will get to know you a little bit better from your childhood, from your memories, from where you started as a child, as a kid, what you like, what you did not like, how your childhood was. If you can share a little bit of that part of your life, sir.
So choti choti baatein se life shuru. That's very interesting. It's always a pleasure to talk about childhood, and when actually I was a bit chota, I grew up in a place called Asansol, which is about 200 kilometers from here. And I went to a lovely school called the St. Vincent's in Asansol, run by the Christian Brothers. And one of my memories is we used to have 17 playing fields in the school. And we always, as kids, used to look forward to a lunch break for two reasons: to share a tiffin with other people. I'm a big foodie. And, I was really thin when I was a kid, but see, eating over the years has transformed me quite significantly. I think when I think of my memories, I have wonderful memories of my childhood from St. Vincent's. But something means I'll probably refer to a fun incident because I did talk about I was thin. So we used to play football sort of in the lunch break. We would quickly eat our tiffins in 5-10 minutes, share whatever food we had, and then we would go and play football. I wasn't the most athletic one, to be honest, but I was full on Josh. And I still remember an incident when I actually, in my Josh, ran into the strongest built guy in our class, and I fell and I was unconscious for 2 minutes. There's nothing serious that happened, but sort of all my classmates were really worried that what has happened to Sourav. They still joke about it. We still have sort of fun on that incident. But sort of, I think those are the kind of small things you always remember from your childhood. And those are the kind of things that keeps us going as friends over the years. So there are many such incidents, but I leave it to that one.
That was some beautiful memory you shared with us, sir. It's just beautiful to hear something like that from someone. So moving on, sir, now we'll talk about a little bit about your achievements. And again, a little bit of Bollywood style, which is आज मैं ऊपर आसमान नीचे. Again, एक ऐसा एज आता है हमारे लाइफ में जहाँ पे हम उड़ने लग जाते हैं. हमें लगता है कि we can do everything, we can do this, we can do that. So that is another way of, portraying that what you wanted to become and what you have become. A little bit about your life achievements, your hindrances, all these things, if you can share with us.
So I think life is full of ups and downs. I think that's one of the things you realize when you come to my age. And there's the professional life, then your personal life. And I think we all sort of grew professionally over the years. I learned a lot when I first started working in Hindustan Petroleum many years ago. Then I moved to PwC in Calcutta, and I have lovely memories. And with PwC, I moved to London and sort of being there for the last 19 years. And sort of, most of my early years of my life was very focused on my professional career. And then as I crossed the 40s and got into sort of my mid 40s, one of the things I became very conscious about is how do you sort of help the broader society? And that's something was very key in my head. And that's when I sort of got together with a few friends of mine in London, and we created a foundation called the Bengal Heritage Foundation.
Okay.
And this is something which lies between sort of the personal and the professional work we do. It's something one I'm immensely proud of, but I also want to spread the word around it. What we do is we are a registered charity in the UK, and we focus on art, culture, heritage, and what we also refer to as a diaspora connect, connecting people from across India whilst they live in the UK. Yes, we do focus on the sort of people from Bengal a lot more, because that helps us connect back to the city, to the state. And that's something I'm immensely proud of. And, it's not very easy. It means when we first started it off, it was a good banter, five of us in a pub, having a good drink and saying, okay, why not we do something like this? And slowly you start doing few things and you realize this actually needs a lot of time, effort, and energy. And when you have a full-time job, then you realize when I'm going to find time for this. And that's where it becomes very interesting. And as you do something, means one of the things in life you learn is if you want to do something good, there are five other people who try to pull you down. And that's where you actually have to persevere. So I think we as a group have shown tremendous perseverance. We do some fascinating things. We do a festival called the Fagun Fest, which is the Harvest Festival, but we celebrate in London. We say we're taking a heart of Bengal to the soul of London. So that's what we do. And it is one of the key events in the London circuit. We actually play football between Mohun Bagan and East Bengal in London.
Okay.
And we also sort of contribute to sort of saving terracotta temples in Bengal, because we believe the terracotta architecture in Bengal is very unique to the region, but it's also fascinating, tells us amazing stories from the sort of Indian mythologies and also the life and times in the 17th and the 18th century. But that's just a quick reflection of what we've tried to do over the last 3-4 years. But sort of whatever I've done professionally or personally, this is something which is quite close to the heart.
It's very inspiring. So it's a beautiful way, the way you said it, and the way you were saying it, the spark is on your face that you're happy and you're very proud about it, which is even more happier. Now we'll move on to another episode. But before that, again, now that you love so much about culture, heritage, Bengal, everything, what is that one thing that keeps you always, always stick to your culture, heritage, that you constantly share the word, spread it everywhere? That is what I wanted to know from you.
When we sort of talk about London, and I was sort of meeting the sort of Deputy High Commissioner for UK over lunch earlier this week, we talked about London being the melting pot of cultures, because you will see people from all over the world. You'll see people from Peru, you will see people from a small country called Benin, you will see people coming in from the sort of Hawaiian Islands, all over the world. And it's amazing that how everybody comes together for a professional career in London and the mix. Okay. But one of the things everybody's so proud of is wherever they come from.
Yes.
And that sense of pride is amazing. And I always say you have to be very proud of wherever you come from. What means I'm very proud if I come from Asansol. I'm very proud if I come from Bengal. Very proud if I come from Calcutta. And I talk about that always sort of when I'm in London, wherever I am. And sort of as I grew older, the sort of ties become a bit fonder because you tend to miss them a lot more. And sort of that's why sort of, as we do that, whilst we do a lot around the Bengal Heritage Foundation, but we sort of people across cultures meet. I don't do music or I can't sing. I'm immensely without any talents when it comes to art and culture. But sort of my wife sings, and somebody playing the Hawaiian guitar, okay, and that sort of all of a sudden melts everything together, takes the stress away from your daily lives, and you feel like music is connecting the whole world, and everybody's very similar when it comes to the humanity part of it. And that sort of, helps us think and connect more on our cultural side and appreciate the other person a lot more rather than being critical. And I think one of the things I'll say to everyone is looking through the nice things of the person on the other side rather than worrying about the not so nice sides of the other person. It means we all have good things and we also have not so good things amongst ourselves. But if all of us reflect on the good side of everybody who's on the other side, we all will have a happy life.
Of course. That is beautiful, sir. It's very beautiful. Okay, so now we'll go ahead with one of another things again in a little Bollywood style. That is "Zindagi Jinhone Sajai Ye Mele." So "Zindagi Jinhone Sajai Ye Mele" is a lot more about life hindrances, what you had to face as the way you were growing up, any hindrances that you faced in life. If you could share that with us, sir.
I think there's a range of hindrances one faces in life. And I think I noted previously, we all have ups and downs in life. Um, but let me start with one of them. And if time permits, I'll share one more. Um, I think when I first moved from India to UK, uh, I was young and I was very excited. Um, and, I was a bit of a spring chicken at that point of time. Uh, but you don't realize in your excitement some of the challenges that lie in front of you. I still remember my second day in office. I was dialing into a conference call, and I had a gentleman on the other side who was speaking in English, and I couldn't understand a single word of what he was saying, and I was confused to death. Okay, now there were a lot of questions that go through your head at that point of time. Is my understanding of English that poor? Is that whatever I've learned over so many years is that bad? I'm really sorry, but I cannot follow you. Can you speak a bit slower? And he was speaking a bit slower. I still couldn't understand him. And you have those moments of self-doubt, especially at that age. And what's going wrong here? Okay. Luckily, there was a colleague in the room who jumped in. He realized my dilemma. He actually jumped in and said, and there was this guy called John on the other side of the line. He said, "John, I don't think Saurav follows your accent." And then he turned to me and says, "He's Scottish. You wouldn't get anything of what he says. We don't understand half of it." Okay, and which was a big relief. And for the first time, I realized that accent matters a lot. And he was speaking in Scottish and Scottish English. Um, the first 3 months, I just couldn't follow. It just takes a huge amount of time just to understand their dialect. It's like in means you're Bengali and you go to certain parts of Bengal or Bangladesh, you just can't understand Bengali. It's very similar to that. And I had no clue that accents in English could be so tough. But sort of that's one aspect of cultural change that you go to when you go to a foreign country. It's very easy to understand somebody's London because he's speaking a bit of a posh English. This was amazing. And and that's a sort of first sort of cultural challenge you have. It takes time to understand that the language is the same language, but they don't use a lot of term.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So now that, sir, you shared about a colleague who was there in the room who came to your rescue to help you. So with that, a little connected with that, there is another turn where we talk about friends, your life, everything. And again, a little bit of Bollywood touch in that, where the name is Tere Jaisa Yaar Kahan. So we all know that friends are a very important part of our life, and without them, we just cannot do it. So if you tell us a little bit about your friends, about someone who's been there with you always, your school, your college, or maybe your colleagues, anything. Sir.
I don't have a massive circle of friends. I have actually a very small circle of friends that I would call my inner circle. And I would always they're my 4 a.m. friends I would call up at any point of time, and they would always be there for me. And I may not be talking to them every day, but whenever I pick up my phone, they'll always be there. But let me talk about a few of them. I'll not name them because they'll feel embarrassed if I name them. But as I said, I was thin and lanky when I was young. There was this friend of mine who always was there for me. So I didn't know how to cycle. Okay, and when I look back now, I feel it's completely stupid. But I didn't know it. And this friend of mine would take me to places. Wherever he would go, he said, "Come on, jump on my cycle." And I'll take you for a ride. And he would do that for miles and miles and miles. Uh, and sort of over the years, we have been very strong friends. When we moved into university, we went to different places. We came back together. We used to work together, means in the same city in Mumbai at one point of time. Then I went to UK. He went to US, and he's traveled all over the world, and he's back in Delhi now. He's a professor. We are in very different professions. I was in Delhi a couple of weeks ago, and I spent some lovely time with him. And I was joking, buddy, try taking me on a ride on a cycle now, okay? Because you will really have to work very hard, because I'm almost twice his weight, okay? And I said, probably it's time for me to repose. I might take you on a ride on a bicycle. But those are sort of wonderful memories we still share. We talk about things. We talk about professional stuff. Uh, it sort of means it's one of those friends who stayed with me for all my life, to be honest, and will always be there when I need any help.
Just spoke about, and I can totally relate to that. I think I'm sure I can relate to that. Friends are a very important part of your life, and some friends just stay. They just stay in your life, even if you are not in touch with them on a regular basis or maybe monthly. They'll just stay. If one, they are just one call away. That's all they are. Now we'll move on to another. To that, we are going to give a little bit of Bollywood taste, which is वही सिकंदर कहलाता है, हारी बाजी को जीतना उसे आता है.
Jo Jeeta Vai Sikandar was one of the sort of big movies where we were in school.
Yes.
So absolutely remember that.
Please tell us something about your life hacks.
Let me share a professional one. That's something I'm known for. So I was sort of mid-career around that point of time when I was actually pursuing a massive oil and gas client in UK. And, the client basically said, I'm really sorry, but I don't think we'll be working with you. Okay. And I knew they were preferring another company to go and work with them. So I said to them, I understand you have your preferences and it's your choice and it's your prerogative, but would you mind giving me an audience? And the client on the other side of the table said to me, see, we make a decision next week and I'm really tied up all of the days. So I'm very sorry, but I can't give you time, even if I want to. And I don't know what came through over me. And I said to him, why don't we meet over the weekend and I'll come to you so that you are not wasting any time. I just need an hour with you. And I don't know what happened. He said, okay, why don't you come over to my sort of village? And he used to live in a village outside of London. And we'll sit in the sort of pub next door. Much as I hated to do work on a weekend, I said, I'll travel over. And I traveled over. We had a lovely meal at his next door pub. And we talked business, not for 1 hour, but for 4 hours. And end of the next week, I had a contract in place. I think what it was is, to finish that story, it became an enduring relationship. We won a multi-year contract after the first phase of work. And the client of mine not only was a client of mine for a long period of time, but he's one of my best friends now. And I still joke with him how we met. It's often very funny.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing so much with us, sir. This again was another beautiful story and a very nice and relatable one that you just shared. From business partners to become friends and then sharing cricket matches and everything. It's just beautiful the way you shared everything. So now again, we'll go ahead with another part of it. And now we'll get to know a lot about you, like what would you do in the present time? I mean, what do you go for? So again, a little bit of Bollywood twist to it, where aane wala pal jaane wala hai. How do you live the moment? What do you do in the present life? How do you set it free? That is what we want to know it from you.
I'll respond in a Bollywood style to your question on that. And what I would say is, Zindagi na milegi dobara. And that is what I always believe in. And many years ago, one of the days I I felt I had a massive pain in my heart, and I almost felt this is a heart attack. I rushed into the emergency. It was nothing other than a bad acid attack. Okay, but sort of that's the first time I felt that I'm going to die. Okay, and and I reflected by my next day and say, if I really did have a heart attack, okay, uh, what would I do in my life? How would I want to spend my life? Huh? But sort of very similar to that question you have, means I almost felt my aane wala pal jaane wala hai. So then I decided that I would do what I love most in my life. And I'm not a big house guy or a car guy, but I love living my experiences. I'm a very big moments person. And I've started traveling around the world. That's what I love to do in my sort of spare time. And and I love traveling. I've traveled large parts of the world, and I ensure whatever I'm doing, I'm traveling 3 or 4 times a year, uh, and this is beyond my work. And I enjoy places. I've gone to exotic places. I've gone to normal cities. Uh, all of last week, I was traveling in rural Bengal because I just enjoy traveling. And that's one thing I want to do for the rest of my life is sort of whatever I do, earn enough money that allows me to travel whenever I get the opportunity. And that's sort of whether I go and meet people from a big country, from a region, and talk to them about their lives and experiences, or I see a site, or I see a historic place. I just love it. And there's certain places when I went to Machu Picchu, it still stays with me. When I saw the Northern Lights, it stays with me. And these are the kind of things and memories that you would always cherish in life. While it wasn't pleasant when I was seeing the Northern Lights, it was minus 30 degrees. I was shivering. But you had the beautiful Northern Lights in front of you. So you're in two minds. And it was 2 o'clock in the morning. So what do you want to do? And I sort of endured that. And, it was hard at that point of time. But then I said, you're not going to see this every other day. And that still stays with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for sharing so much with us. Thank you so much for telling so many things about your life, about traveling, about all the hindrances, about your childhood memories, about being friends with friends who are always supposed to be there in your life, even if they are not there constantly. But still, friends are important. I mean, everything you just spoke, you shared, you inspired us a lot with your words. So, thank you so much for being on the show today. And I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing life ahead.
Thank you, Polomi. I'm going to look forward for my Sunday breakfast now. Looking forward to some luchi back in Kolkata here. And it was lovely speaking to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Have a good day, sir.